Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Do powerful people in Washington really want to know the truth? That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. You may remember that the IRS was accused of auditing some conservative groups for political reasons. That is illegal. The woman in charge of the office where that allegedly happened was Lois Lerner. She was called to testify in front of a congressional committee. She took the fifth.
And while I would very much like to answer the committee's questions today, I've been advised by my counsel to assert my constitutional right not to testify or answer questions related to the subject matter of this hearing.
So after that, Ms. Lerner packed up and left the IRS with a nice government pension. Absolutely nothing happened to her. And we never learned if higher government officials were involved in that IRS scandal. However, we did learn this when I asked President Obama about the situation.
You're saying no corruption?
No.
None?
No. There were some boneheaded decisions.
Out of a
but
no
office.
mass corruption.
Not even mass corruption. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Talking Points believes the Obama administration did not want to know what happened with the IRS. The left-wing media did not want to know, nor did the Democratic Party. And we don't know. So today, we have two big-time political allegations. Whether the Trump campaign colluded with Russia, and whether National Security Advisor Susan Rice was spying on the Trump campaign and transition team, using her position with President Obama in the White House to surveil and hurt Donald Trump. Answers to both of those questions have not been provided to the American people, as they must be if we are to keep our election system legitimate. The FBI is investigating the Russian deal. I'm not sure where the agency is on the illegal surveillance issue. The Bureau has not defined it. But Congress is looking into Ms. Rice.
I've asked the Intelligence Committee, Senator Burr, Senator Warner, to conduct a bipartisan investigation of this whole episode. They will conduct it. Hopefully, at the end, we'll find out what happened, and they'll issue a report, I hope, on a bipartisan basis.
Not likely, as Democrats and the liberal media have already acquitted Susan Rice.
One of the central figures the Republicans went after and after and after was Susan Rice. And after 2 years, they could find nothing that Susan Rice did wrong.
Congressman Schiff, ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee, speaking about Ms. Rice's role in the Benghazi investigation and putting forth the opinion that she's a scapegoat, even before any testimony is heard. Does Congressman Schiff really want to know what happened in the surveillance deal? You make the call. But it's obvious his fellow travelers on the left do not want to know. In fact, the loons are now branding the whole thing racial.
Did she do something wrong? There is no information indicating that. So they are making her, basically they're defaming her without any reason to do so. Because she's a woman, maybe because she's a black woman.
As Talking Points said yesterday, Susan Rice is entitled to the presumption of innocence and should be called by Congress to testify as soon as possible. But with Easter break looming, that call will be down the road. At that time, I expect Ms. Rice to take the fifth, just as Lois Lerner did. That means others in government will have to step forward to testify about what Susan Rice did or did not do in order for we the people to know. Today, President Trump said he believes the surveillance situation is, quote, going to be the biggest story. It's such an important story for our country and the world. It is one of the big stories of our time, unquote. It's clear the president has a vested interest in this, having tweeted he was surveilled by President Obama himself. So obviously, Mr. Trump would like to know what happened. But the anti-Trump folks will try to prevent sunlight on Susan Rice, no question about that. Because if the former National Security Advisor was using her very high office to help the Democratic Party before and after the election, that's a huge scandal. And President Obama will have to be questioned about it. That's a big if. And premature conclusions as well as speculation are the enemies of true justice. The polls say most Americans want answers to the Russian intrusion into the presidential election, and I believe most of us want to know the full Susan Rice story as well. If the federal government cannot define both situations fairly quickly, this nation is in major trouble. America simply has to have a justice system that works. And that's a memo.